Okay, so when you open the extension for the first time, you'll get this little welcome screen where you gotta log in. I use my Google account for this. Once you're logged in, you'll get to a screen that looks similar to this. So there's nothing here because you haven't browsed anything. That's why there's nothing here. I have a project called Demo. You might have it as init or something like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to browse a couple of sites and then I'm going to see what happens when I open something up. So let's open Test Cricket. And the first thing that you'll notice is this thing over here. I can move it around, right? If you don't like what it looks like, you can actually make it smaller or you can remove it altogether. You go here to Settings, you go to General, Nugget Display, let's say Minimal. When you go back, you'll see it now becomes just a dot. And if I move around, it still gives me the functionality. You can also take it completely away, but I prefer having it like this. Then I know it's doing its thing. So let me just browse around a little bit and see basically what's going on. As I browse around, if I now go back to the interface, if you want to go back to the interface, let's say you close it for whatever reason, you can always just click on this and it'll open up. And here you will see a screenshot of those pages that we just took, right? Now, when you click on it, you'll see that the side panel opens up here. I prefer to pin that down like this. And you will also see that we do some extraction on entities on these pages. So there's domains, some names that it extracted, a couple of the domains that it found on here. And it would do that for email addresses, hashtags, aliases, telephone numbers. There's quite a few things that we extract from these pages. So it's important to know what is being recorded and what's not. We do keep a screenshot of what the site looks like when you last visited the site. If you double click on this, you'll get the screenshot back. So here's the screenshot. And we also keep the text. So there's the page text. And we keep the page text no matter what. So even if it's a dynamic page with content that gets loaded in and out. So if we go to Twitter, and let's say we're scrolling down, then as the text is inserted into this page, because it's dynamically loaded, we'll keep all of the text, even if you scrolled past it, right? So something that's at the top, I don't know, pay direct tax. And when I scroll past it and I go, let's say Jocelyn Smith. So you'll see if we search for Jocelyn, that is at the bottom, there you see Jocelyn Smith. And if we search for the word tax, then we'll get the tax, the pay direct tax that was at the top of the page. So actually all the text that's that's on the site is indexed. It takes a bit of time, but it gets indexed eventually. Which means you can search through, like, if you're scrolling down on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, Twitter, and you're scrolling down for a very long time, you can search everything that you scroll past, which is kind of a little different to how it works if you just save the page. And we also see that we can search on the page URL. So if we want to find everything that comes from Wikipedia, there's a view that shows you the URLs, all the sites from Wikipedia. You can then decide to see this as tiles as well, or you could see it as a list, right? And to clear the filter, you always press escape. So if I say page URL x.com, then we'll only get this one, right? And that opens up. And so that gives us the ability to, as we go along, look for text. We can also look just in the title. The default is everywhere. So if you just search you'll get it will search it anywhere within this thing. So the next thing to see is how you can save a page. So if we look at this page right now, it's quite a long page, right? And if we see what's in Ubikron, we only see the front part. Well, we have the text, but let's say we want to find everything. We want to save this page. So when you move over this, you'll see there's a little save icon at the bottom. And when you click on it, it will say the page is now saved. So this means that the entire page is saved. And the other thing that you'll notice is there's a little icon at the top here with a number. And that is an indication of how many times this particular page is saved. Now, the reason why we want to save pages more than once is because the page might change, right? So again, you're scrolling down a Facebook profile or Instagram profile, and the data gets unloaded and loaded in. And so when you save the page, at different times, it will look different. So if you want to view the page that you saved, you can click on this number over there. It will now re-render this as MHTML, the MHTML as HTML. So you'll get a copy of this, and you can scroll down and you can see now you have this entire page saved. You can also click on download, and it will then download that MHTML file that you can use offline. All right, so let's just see where the page is. It's over there. If we open that up, that is just a copy, a local copy of that page that we saved. Let's see how it works on something that is dynamically loaded, right? So I'm on Twitter. I'm going to scroll down quite a bit. So let's pick this gun that was found over there. And I click on save. And this page will now be saved. And let's just scroll down quite a bit more. Quite a bit more, right? Just waiting for it to load. And let's say we are on this red screen over there, and I click on save again. You'll see it says the page is saved. If we look in the interface, again, we can click on there to get to the interface. If we look on the interface, you'll see that there are 2 pages that are now saved within Twitter. So when I click on it again, I'll get the first page, right? And the first page was where we had that gun. And if we scroll up from here, you'll see how far we can scroll before we get a blank screen. This is because this stuff at the top is unloaded, and we've loaded all the way down to about here, and that's all the browser knows of. So this is why we have multiple versions of this page. So in here, you'll see that there's multiple versions. So when I click in here, I can switch between the time that I saved the page. If I click over there, I'll get the other page, which it will now load, which is this red thing over there. If we scroll up, you'll see what was unloaded all the way up to here. And again, only up to this graph over there. And that's, if you were to save this page in your browser, that's what you would get as well. Okay, so that gives me a really nice way to be able to save pages. I can have a filter to show me only the pages that are saved. So if I say filter has MHTML, so that's a filter that says show me only the pages where there's MHTML. And it's obviously just these 2. And you see there's the count, there's the other count. I can always go back to this and retrieve the page as it looked at that time. The next thing I want to show you is tags. You can apply tags to any site. The default tag, there is a default tag called favorite. So if I want to, let's say, favorite the list of International Cricket Council, something, something, I can right click on this and say tags, apply the favorite tag, right? And now you see a red little dot there, shows me that this was favorited. Let's favorite this one as well. As soon as you see that, as soon as I right click, you'll see that the favorite tag is a recent tag that I applied. So the last 3 recent tags will always sit over here. Let's apply favorite to that as well. And you get these 2 over there. And lastly, let's apply it to this one as well. So if I want to filter on a tag, there's 2 ways you can do it. You can say filter, click on the tag, and you get the 3 that we just tagged, which is pretty easy, right? But the other quick way you can do it is just click on the actual tag over there. You see now it builds a filter up with that immediately. You're not limited to tags that you can apply. If you want to have your own tags, you go to the project settings over here, go to settings, manage tags, just type in whatever tag you want. So demo 1, press enter. It will get assigned a color. You can change the color if you want to, right? And now I can say other tags and apply the demo tag to this as well. Of course, now it's my recent tags. So I can put it in there as well. I can filter on that. And this actually shows you something pretty interesting. So we got, let's just tag this with demo as well. So we got these 2 tagged with demo, these 2 tagged with favorite, and this is tagged with favorite and demo. So when I'm on filters and I say find me favorite, it will get these 3, but I can combine them, and so I can say find me favorite and demo, and that would result only in 1. And so you can build up these filters as you go along. And where it gets useful is I'm going to quickly load a big project, which is this one. So when I have a couple of these visits loaded in this project, this is about Philip K. Dick, I can quickly find, the ones that are tagged with a specific tag. So I press the filter button, I say, okay, find me everything that is tagged with wives. And then you can see that children is kind of like disabled because there's nothing that's tagged together. But I can click on, let's say, drugs, and I'll see what's common between wives and drugs, and it's these two visits over here. It gives me a way to very quickly go through a mass of visits and quickly see what is tagged with a specific thing or commonalities between tags. Okay, but let's go back to the demo account, the demo project. So to do that, you just go here, you pick the one that you were on, and you swap, and you can see now we've swapped to this one where we were. Okay, so how do I go back to these actual URLs? So I can click on this visit. I can click on the link over there. Of course, I can just click on the link on the right on the side panel. What I also can do is I can right click on this and say open URL, right? So the first thing you'll see is that the widget here has a blue center. And when it has a blue center, it actually means that the page is tagged, that it has a tag on it. So it shows you, hey, this page is tagged. Now, we can tag pages from here as well. We don't need to do it from the UI. Let's see how we do that. So on this top right icon is a tag icon. And when you click on it, you'll see the tags that we apply to this. So favorite and demo. Let's take both off, right? And then we go back to the interface. Now we're looking at the page test cricket. You'll see that test cricket is now at the top because it's the last site that we visited, and it doesn't have those tags anymore. We can tag it again from here, and we can even create a tag from here. So let's make a demo widget. That's like this. We get a color. We can change the color. Let's make it yellow. Okay, and now when we're on here, we'll get a yellow one that's called demo widget, right? As you can see. So we can easily actually, as we go along, say, oh, this page is interesting to us. Yeah, it is interesting to us. And you'll see that you get the last one here as well. So if I click on it, I'll get that. Right, let's say this is interesting for us as well. So I favorite this one. And if we go to the page, now both of them sit here, so I could just click them on like that. And that gives me the ability to tag pages as I'm browsing really quickly, right? Again, let's look here. We'll see those tags are applied here. I can now filter by them. So, again, click on it. I'll get the filter, click off it. Hit escape, and I'll get there. I'll get all of them. The filter is not cleared. So the tags can also be applied from the actual widget from here. So at this stage, you have something that records the pages that you've been to, right? You see it. It records all of the text. And it also gives you the ability to very easily save a page to MHTML and save multiple versions of that page, because it might have changed. It also gives you the ability to tag pages and search and filter by pages and do free text search. So that's quite a lot already that you have here. One of the cool features, we can actually even set it so that when I tag a page with a certain tag, it automatically gets saved. It's in the project menu, it's in settings, and it's in automations. So you'll see here that it says save a page as MHTML when it's tagged with these tags. So let's make it the favorite tag. So obviously this is only going to happen on new pages, right? Not going to happen on pages that you've already browsed past. But now when I go, okay, list of missing ships, I see, okay, let's say we go to South Africa and we say, hey, this is important. I tag this with favorite, right? You'll see at the top, the page is already saved, right? So now whenever I have something that gets saved, gets tagged with favorite, I don't need to save the page by hand. It automatically gets saved. And you'll see there's the South Africa page, right, that we saved. It's got a little thing that says there's one version of this page. And here's the Black Europeans page that we also saved. Again, I can recall it. I get the conversion, and here's the entire page that I can download. So that kind of works well. Okay, we can do the inverse as well, of course. So we can say, if you save a page, automatically tag it with this tag. For that, we're going to go to the settings in here, go to automations. The last one you see says, when a page is saved as MHTML, also apply this tag to it. So let's say we want to apply the yellow tag to it. When we save it, switch that on, right? And now, if we are, I'm going to just browse around a little bit again. Area, blah, blah, blah. Let's go to Netherlands. Let's go to another page. Let's go to this. And I'm going to save the page. And then when I save the page, it should also get tagged as yellow, right? So let's see if that happens. Click on save. And you'll see that the blue dot appears in the middle of this thing, which means that it is now tagged. And if we check the tags, you'll see that it is tagged with demo widget, right? So that is exactly what happened. When we save the page, it gets tagged. When we go back to the interface, you'll see there's the save. There's the one version of the page that's saved. And you will see there's the tag that was applied to it. Let's look at what clippings do. So I'm going to open up a new site. Let me open up Twitter. And I'm just going to scroll down here a bit. And let's, for instance, say that this particular post, I don't know what this is, but let's say this particular post is interesting for us. And what I want to do is I want to take a little screen clipping of this area. Now, to do that, you can go here to the widget, the nuggets, whatever. You can click on this button over there. And you'll see you get a crosshair, which you now can drag any area on the screen. You can also write something about it. You don't need to write something about it, but you can write something about it. Let's in our case say we don't want to write anything about it. So we're just going to click on the save. I think you can also press enter. There you go. And you'll see it says clipping saved. Let's say we scroll down a little bit. We see something else that is particularly interesting. Let's say it's this area here. I can again click on this, but there's a shortcut key for it, and that is Control and tilde, which is that little squiggly thing to the left of the 1. That's a tilde, so I can press Control and tilde, and we put it on the left-hand side of the keyboard, so it's pretty quick to get to. And let's say now we want to write something about this. Write something about it. Again, we can go on and on and on. And this is kind of the idea that as you see something, you're not saving everything that you see, because not everything that you see is interesting. But when you see something that is interesting, you can clip it quickly and save it, right? Where does these clippings end up? These clippings actually end up in this clipping area within Ubikron. So when I now go to clippings, you'll see that these 3 clippings are sitting over there. These are the 3 clippings we took. Here's something that we wrote about it. Of course, we can always write something about it later. We learned this. Right, and obviously there's actions that I can perform on these clippings. If I right click and I say view screenshot, then I get the full scale version of this. I can quickly copy that to the clipboard. In fact, I can do it from here. See, copy screenshot. It will then copy it onto the clipboard. And what's really useful about this is I can actually drag it into my reports. So there you see, I just drag it into the report. It actually comes with this little thing at the bottom. And if I change it here, it will change everywhere. Right. The cool thing with these clippings are that you can also apply bookmarks to it. So let's just see how that works. Let's say we're back on this, and I don't know, we want to bookmark this particular section over there that's important for us. Again, Control and tilde. Select the section. And now I click on this button over there that opens up the tags. Let's make it this yellow tag. All right, and I apply that. You'll see that it's applied over there. I write something, world map is big. I press enter. And now when you view it within the interface, you'll see that it's there and it's got the tag applied to it. Of course, I can apply tags after the fact as well. So just the way that just in the same way that you apply tags to items in history, you can apply it here as well. You'll see that it is one of the recent tags. So when I click on it, that gets applied to both this and this as well. What's interesting is when let's say we drag it in there, is that it will also tell you in here that it is tagged with this particular tag. And when I update that, you see that will change immediately on that side as well. Of course, you can filter by these. So in the same way that you filter your visits, the stuff that sits with history. Now, one of the cool things that we've done here is we give you the ability to send these pictures. Let me just clear this filter. To send these pictures to OpenAI for getting a description of the picture. So that works with the OpenAI API. You got to set the key for that. That key gets set in your user settings under AI configuration. You can put the key in there. Right. And then you can also decide if you want to send the image off to AI to get described. You could do that in the project. So you go to settings, and again in automation, you'll see AI to describe clippings, let AI create descriptions for your clippings, making search easier. Now, what does this do? It will send it to OpenAI for description. So in here, as soon as you click on it, you'll get the side panel. You'll see there's a section that says AI description. When you click on it, it says this image is a screenshot from social media, blah, blah, blah. It actually does a really good job of describing it. And the reason why this is cool is it means that when we search within our clippings, we can search on AI description or on words that are in the AI description. So for instance, I'm pretty sure this would say that it's a world map. So if I was to search for the word map, it will come up here. Well, it comes up because in my annotation, it says world map is big. But even if I didn't say this, it would say below there's a world map showing areas, and this comes from the AI description. If you want to search for specific words, like let's say red. In this case, when I search for red, I get everything. So colored. There we get the illuminated by a red light, which is this. So if I was looking for only the word red, I would put that in quotes. So if I search for red with quotes, I only get the one where the word red is actually a word and not just part of a word. Now you will see that we do two kind of things here. We send it to AI, but we also send it to OCR. That OCR is currently running on the server as a microservice. It's not a particularly good OCR, but it's good enough. So when you have a screenshot like this, like a clipping like this, where we have a bit of text that can easily be extracted, then you'll see here that it says OCR text, and it does a pretty okay job of extracting the text from this page. So even if your AI doesn't give you the full extraction of the text, the OCR will do that, and will catch it if we search here, right, on the text. And you can actually set where it's going to search. You can say search everywhere, only in the annotations, a description, the OCR text, or the page URL. And the page URL is pretty cool. So for instance, if I want to say only search for clippings that came from pages from Wikipedia, I would just say search in the URL for wiki, and I'll only get the one that now comes from Wikipedia. Let's go to a project that's a little more busy and that's got a little bit more clippings, because I want to show you some of those things there as well. Okay, so I'm going to switch to the PKD project that I have. Where is it? There we go. And here you can see you got quite a few clippings. And there's really cool syncing between what's in the report over here, and what's in the clippings, and the other way around as well. So if I'm on a clipping, let's say this one, and I want to find out where it is in the report here, when I click on this, it will actually move the report to where this clipping was mentioned in the report. Right, so when I click on this, it goes there. When I click on this, it goes there. But it doesn't always need to be in the report. So if this particular clipping is never in the report, then you can click on it and it's not actually going to move the report because it's not in the report. But this one I know is in the report, so when I click on it, it moves to this thing in the report. So it means if you're looking through here and you see something interesting and you go, oh, I wonder what this was about. First of all, you got the annotation at the bottom, but when you click on it, you can also jump in the report to that section. In the same way, if you are in the report and you want to see where this particular thing, let's say you want to see what the AI description was on, let's say, this thing, you'll see that next to the text, there's a little target. So when you click on the tag, on the image itself, you can scale it in the report. Let me just move that a little bit out the way. You can obviously make it bigger and smaller. And if I want to move to this within here, I click there and it selects that. It's selected, and we get the side panel opening up as well. I can even create tags for clippings as I make them. So for instance, here is this over there. I can click on this button, Control tilde. Let's say I need a new tag. Let's call this politics. Press enter. Scroll down to politics. Pick the color. Let's make it blue. Select that. Close it. Write a thing. Leader. Schmieder. And press save. And now when I go back to the project, you'll see that I've got a new tag called politics that's over there. And this particular clipping now has the politics tag. What's cool about it is if I go on with this investigation and I make another screenshot, let's say of, I don't know, this thing over here, then the default would be the politics tag. So the last one that I've used gets assigned to any of the new stuff that I put in. One more thing that's kind of important that I forgot to tell you about was, remember how we had the automation when you apply certain tags, you could save the page and the other way around? Well, when you take a clipping of a page, it automatically saves a copy of that page as MHTML. So here, for instance, you'll see all of these ones have a 1 in the corner, which means it did save this thing. If I click on it, you can actually see that particular page being saved. There you go. So you can always, scroll a little bit up and down if it's an infinite scroller. And of course, if it's on an entire page, you will have the entire, that entire Wikipedia page available over here. I see there's the entire page. And that's kind of cool because it means that we now have another action that triggers the saving of a page or part of a page if it's an infinite scroller. And that is taking a snapshot. And that's not something that's configurable. It always takes a snapshot of the page as MHTML when you take a screen clipping, because clearly there was something that was important for you. So we'll save the page. Okay, let's next look at the AI Insights tab. Now, when you click on it, you'll see that it normally would say AI system is not available. That's because it runs with it needs an API key that you need to enter. So if you click on there, you'll see that's where you can put the API key in. You can click there to get one. I'm going to put my key in there, save it, test the key. You'll see that it goes green, so it's a valid key. And now when I go here, you'll see that this message isn't there anymore. As a start, what you need to understand is how the AI system works. And it works with a thing called RAG. And RAG stands for, I think, Retrieval Augmented Generation. And basically what it means is that we provide some information to the AI system, which is like base knowledge. And we can ask it questions about that. So it still has the training for all of the information on the internet, but it basically looks at the information that you give it and then gives priority to those things, right? So if you go to a project and you go to settings and you go to AI settings, you'll see that here we set what these sources are that we are sending to the AI. Okay, so let's look at it. So first of all, the report. So the text that you wrote here on the right, that gets sent to it. Any screen clippings, so when we send the screen clippings, we don't send the picture. You can't send the picture as a RAG item, but we send the AI description of it. So the good description of what it looks like, the OCR text that gets sent, whatever you added in there, your annotation, the clipping notes. And we also send the text, from the page where the clipping was made. We send that as well. So not only are you getting the your notes and the OCR and the AI description of the image, but you also get the full text of the page where that clipping was taken from. And the same goes for other web pages. So for instance, we can send the entire text of the page up, but normally that's not a great idea unless that page we know is interesting to us. So when it's tagged. So by default, the favorite tag I think is set. So when you favorite a page, the text of that page will go up. Another way that you can do it is the pages that you've saved. So when you save a page, you probably saved it because it's an important page for you. So then we're going to take all the text for that page and send it up for the RAG. And lastly, and you'll see that this is disabled, is the page text for everything. So you don't want to send, like if you're browsing like 800 pages, you don't want to send the page text of 800 pages into the AI. Hey, because 700 of those pages were just you trying to find something, and you're just adding noise into the system if you add those things in. So this is where you basically set up what gets sent to the RAG system. Okay, so let's see what it looks like when we actually, I'm going to go to the PKD project. So we can ask things like, when was PKD born? Okay, and it would process this, and of course, it would give you the answer when he was born. Okay. Now, if we're busy writing our report, and let's say we are interested and we want to write something about the fact that he had 5 wives, we can ask the AI about it. We can say, who were the wives of PKD and what were their influence and what was the influence of each of them on his life. Okay. And it's basically now going to look at everything that you wrote here, all the pages, everything, and it's basically going to summarize this in this way. Right, so this is a really nice, you can see here, there's not much documented about her influence in his life. So if we have a section here about women in his life, for instance this, I would say, let's take this and we put it in there. This is a nice paragraph. And we could just pick it up and paste it in here. Right? Okay. But we can also ask it, if we find out that we have questions that we ask it, that we keep on asking it, like write an introduction or do this. Or, these pre-programmed prompts you can find by clicking on this thing over there, right? On this dialog button over there. And here you actually see, let's make it a little smaller, a couple of like prompts. When you mouse over it, you'll see what it's about, like location to individuals, organizations, family and groups, people, all people, important people. There's a whole lot of different ones, new ideas, look closely at the research, blah, 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 and so on and so forth. These are things that we find that's useful mostly that's useful in many different situations. And so you don't need to type it out, you could just click on it. So for instance, give a list of clickable Google searches. That will take this research, do not use. Okay, so if we want to get ideas on what we can search next, we can ask it to give links, right? And then these, I think these become links. Psychological themes in Philip K. Dick's literature. Let's go for that. And you could just click on it, and then we'll get it like this, right? So that's a really nice way to get like new ideas of what you can look for, and you could just click on it and it will look for it straight away. Let's ask it something that we know absolutely is not in the research, right? So if we say what was PKD's favorite food? Now, hopefully it's going to tell me that it doesn't know. Which is great. So it tells me that it doesn't know. Okay, not enough data. Now, you would think, where does this come from? And the way that this assistant is set up is completely configurable. When you go to your user settings and you go to RAG prompts, you'll see there's a whole lot of things here. The first is like how the assistant gets created. So if we edit there, we can read it a little bit clearer. And it says you're assistant to intelligence analyst. Your job is to inspect data presented to you, blah, blah, blah. You must always be able to back up the answer from the resources given to you. And if you find that you cannot confidently answer the question, you have to reply with, don't know, not enough data. And that's where it comes from. So when we ask it about food and it doesn't know, then it replies with this because it just doesn't know, right? Here you can change the language. So if you are, I don't know, French or German, you can change the language to that language. Your answers would be in that language. Here's the actual prompt that we use to create the AI description that gets made for clippings. So look at this. It says, write a short description of what you see in the image. Do not give your interpretation of the image, but simply state what you see. Where there are humans in the photo, describe each person in detail using the NCIC standardization descriptors. If you know their names, put it in there. So I see there's still a little bit left when I tested this to see if it can do Indonesian prompts, because I did a conference there and I didn't remove it, so I removed it now. Then the notes. So the notes is the report. So the thing that you write when it gets sent to the AI as a RAG atom. Actually, it gets prepended with this. Here's the most important report that the analyst wrote about the project. The report is composed of text that the analyst carefully wrote by hand and screenshots. Blah 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 blah. The report starts with start report and ends with end report. So clearly, that's where we're going to put these things in. And some of these things you would see that there are variables at the top. You see it says AI description, annotation. These things are variables. So when you look at this, the screen clippings, all of the screen clippings that you made is going to be put in one document. And it's going to be formatted like this. It's going to tell the AI that the image came from a specific page, so that it has that context of knowing, oh, this came from Facebook, or it came from wherever, and is optionally noted, because it's not always the same, annotated with the annotation and tagged as this, so the AI knows you wrote this about this image, it came from here, and it was tagged with these tags, right? And there's an image description, the OCR is there, the image itself can be fetched from that URL, because remember, this and this is not the same thing. This is the page, and on the page there are images, and this image is at this URL, right? And that's the end of the image description. And so we have blocks of these for every image, for every clipping that you have. The AI gets sent all of this. Okay. Then for the actual text on the page, this is what it says. It's kind of interesting here because we know that the text that we're going to be sending from the page might have contain a lot of junk in there as well. So it says that. It says the text is for each. So keep in mind that all the text from the page is shown. This means that there are likely irrelevant information like ads, instructions for the user, headings, and so on. And you should not be influenced by this. Of course, maybe it will be. And it's every page starts with the word from followed by a URL. And here's the actual body then. You can see there it says from the URL, and this all gets populated with all the URLs that you're sending it. So now you kind of see that you can change all of these things and customize it to your needs if you want to create an AI system that works completely different or does something completely different, right? People argue that we're already seeing these things, right? We already getting this information when the model was trained. But the advantage of this is that you can now, as RAG items, use pages that are behind credentials or that's on your intranet or something like that. So let me create a project and we're going to call it RAG test. I'm going to give it that thing, create it, and it's going to have a new, it's going to be a clean project, right? So there's nothing in here. No clippings, no context, nothing. Okay, and then I'm going to go to Facebook and I'm going to switch recording on. There, I switch it on. And I'm going to scroll down a little bit here. And as I scroll down, let's go to, I don't know, let's go to Frank. Okay, and we're scrolling down on Frank's profile. Here we are, right? And let's say, for instance, we take a little screenshot of him talking about the ostrich, right? Okay. And we want to get, so remember now, because we took a screenshot of this particular page, right? Here, the text of this page will be part of the thing that we search for. I'm taking this away. I'm going to write report about Frank. Test. Sorry, Frank, it's not really about you. Okay, and I'm not going to say anything else there. That's all I'm going to say. Okay, so now when I go to AI Insight and I start this thing up, so I say, let's say refresh AI. It's now going to create the assistant. Remember, the only thing that it knows is the text that came from these pages. There's nothing in the report. So I can ask it now things about what is on this page. So for instance, let's say we want to ask it about today's episode. I don't even know what this is, an auger underloader. And we can ask it things about that. So we could be like, what does Frank what item that Frank had? Oh, my English is so bad and this broke down. Oh my word, see. Okay, let's just see if it knows. And it says Frank had an auger underloader that broke down, which prevented him from accessing the feed in the silo. Now, you might think that this is not cool, but this is actually really cool because it got this from a page that normally you wouldn't be able to get to. The data wasn't trained on any of this stuff. So it doesn't know anything about Frank other than this thing that we just saw. Now we say describe what you think Frank is like. I don't know, let's see what it says. I mean, based on the available, there isn't detailed description, which is great because there isn't. Like, information provided primarily focuses on incident involving unrelated breaking down programs. Additional context data would be required. So this is perfect. So it says basically, I don't know Frank, but I did know what he wrote, right? So the things that are here would be things. Let's just see if we can find something else. He did a thing here about Val Kilmer. And he said he was amazing in his role. My favorite was performing as this. So let's ask it about that. Does Frank have any favorite films? Let's see what it says. It says Frank's favorite film was Real Genius, which is fantastic, right? Now imagine that you have not only one person's, like, I've got, like, how far did I scroll down? Imagine I was scrolling down here the whole day long. I've got the entire feed here, but not just his. I've got other people's feed as well. I can start asking things like who are common friends, what are common traits, do they have, speech pathology that they have, they make common mistakes that they have. And none of this is data that the AI was trained for. It's all private data, and it's all things that come from pages that are beyond that's protected with authentication. That's not surface level stuff, and that is what makes this really interesting. We have a new feature which you haven't seen, which is the thing here at the top. And this opens up a sidebar. So let's just see what's going on here. As soon as you click on this thing, it opens up here. You'll see there's three different sections. There's page entities, and find plus plus. So let's just start with page. So it would always be on the page. It would show you the page that you're on. And it shows you the URL and the site. And as you move around this, you'll see there's a little play button there on the side. You can also right click. And that gives you actions that you can perform on either the URL or the site. So for instance, on the site, we could say, let's see if there's anything related on build with this particular site. You could see that there are a couple of other sites that are related based on the tracking codes, right? On the URL, for instance, we can look at archive.org. I built this new little thing that's called Narca Meta, which basically takes the URL as input, and it's now going to analyze this, and we'll come back to this tab in a bit. Right, that's on the page stuff where we can do this. You'll also see that it does entity extraction on the page that we on. So here you can see it's extracted 23 names. This extraction works with regex and a little bit of magic. It doesn't get sent off somewhere, so it's all local. So it's also not always 100% correct. When you click on this thing to open it up, it remembers the sections that are open. You'll see that some names are in bold and some names are kind of in a lighter color. The names that are in bold are names that are valid, that are visible on this viewport right now. So Chris Connolly is on this page. If I want to see where on the page, I can highlight this thing. Oh shit, that was lightning. And you'll see that it gets red highlighted. I can select it again, and it will go There you go. You can see it highlights that name. Okay, and not only does it highlight this name now, but it will highlight this name. It will show you here on Find++ that it's highlighted, but it will highlight it on every other page that you go to. And as soon as you see this little thing appear, you know that this name is on that page. Right? We'll look into that a little bit later on. Of course, as you scroll around, this list would change, right? So as I scroll around, this changes because the names change. You can see all the names that's on the page. Of course, it doesn't do everything correct. Like Beechcraft King was a plane, and it extracted that as a name. But as you move along, you will see that the names would change as these things are on the viewport, right? What's nice about it is, let's say I go to, I don't know, open it up here. Let me just reload this page. Sorry, it's from my old install. And open it up. And as I move along on an infinite scroller that literally has stuff load in dynamically, I can see the hashtags, the aliases, for instance. Right, as I move along, I can see what's on this page, right? Okay, so there you'd see that this Patrick is on this page. It's always on this page because he's on the side panel there, but these things would move around as you go along. What's nice about this is that it also gives me the ability to have actions on this as well. So for instance, if I want to run something on, let's see who this is. I have no idea who this is, but we want to search for his alias or her alias on what is my name. And of course, this gets submitted straight away over there. So you could just go ahead and then see where, this particular alias was used. So these are actions that can run on these pages. And of course, it's different for different things. So like for names, for instance, if I go back to this thing, open up names, and let's say I scroll to the bottom, see that this was written by these 3 people. They're now at the top here. So I can say, okay, well, on Connor Plunkett, let's look at, there's open corporates, dehashed, Facebook. I can open it up in this tool that is in this custom search engine that looks at all the different social networks, and then I can, I can see, I don't know if that's even his, but like I can go there, and this kind of starts, this whole process starts again. So now when I open the side panel here, obviously I'm going to get like the names from this page. Right, let's pick another one here. Let's take Bew Connolly, and we're going to look them up on the custom search engine, no matter what it was. Right, there's a TikTok. I don't know if that's his or hers. It seems like it because it says journalist. I don't know, do this silly capture. And again, I can now open this side panel here, and I get these names that get extracted from here straight away. And as I move along, this will be updated for these things. You will see, for instance, here's the domain. Hopefully that is the domain that got extracted, which it is. And now we can, do things on that domain. So let's see if there's relationships with this. There isn't any overlapping domains, but it's really quickly to go ahead and do this. Of course, everything that we've been doing is recorded within this project, so it's you don't lose any of these things that you go along. If we go back to the Bellingcat page, which was this one. You remember I ran the Narca thing on it, which should be done by now. And there it is. And so this is a new thing that we built that basically looks at any page and looks at the metadata. And one of the things it does is it looks at specifically dates that it can extract. Now, you remember that this thing was published, it said it was published when? On March 22, right? On 2025. So obviously you will see that there's some things on 23, which is when it was modified, because that's in a meta tag. And you would see that there's also in the schema.org, there's a graph modified is on the next day. So they changed the article, and they also, it seems this is the first time that it was seen on archive.org, was on the next day. But the published date is the 22nd. You could see that there are pictures that came from the 21st, because we can actually see it in the file name of the actual picture, right? So there you could see that was on the 21st, and this was on the 14th. This screenshot was on the 14th. And so it goes down, and you'll see that there are pieces of the page that got made at different dates. And I think this is super useful. There's a lot of different ways that we look at, when if we can extract dates. We also look at like Unix times that were found. We look at metadata within the pictures, where the pictures was taken. And so there's a whole lot of ways that we can kind of try to date stamp this particular thing. There's other stuff in here that's also useful. I mean, we look at external links if they are in other countries other than CDNs, because clearly most of it is going to be in CDNs. Here's all the external links on the page, external resources, so JavaScript that gets loaded or CSS that gets loaded off a machine that's not this machine. So you could see they use Plausible because they load some JavaScript from there. And tracking codes, there's a whole lot of things that gets done here. The point is this gets called very easily on the page that you're on. So literally, if I'm on that page and I'm here and I want to see, okay, well, when did he start with this page? In the past, you had to do a whole lot of things. Now you click on here, you click there, and you say analyze, and so it's a lot easier than just having to, do it by hand. All right, so that's the side panel. The find stuff I think is really cool. For instance, we could do things like we could say, let's go back to that article where we were, right? If we're on this article, and let's say we scroll down, and we want to, there's a specific thing that's interesting for us that we need to be notified when we see it on a page. We could do it with the things that are on here. That's what the highlight is for, right? So for instance, let's see where this name was. This is a person that they mentioned in here, right? So if we put it in this page, if we put it in this highlight, it will always show up. And that doesn't only need to be some of these names and things that not just the names, but like email addresses, whatever, that we extract from here. It could be anything. So for instance, at some stage you will see that they talk about a plane, and this registration number, if it ever shows up on a page, we want to be notified of it. So we'll literally select the text over there, we'll copy it. If you click on the cog, you can edit the blue and the red boxes. You can also just click there and you get there. So if we put it in here and we say save, then this will always be highlighted on a page. And it will show you that it's on the page, even if this thing isn't open on the side. So this makes it pretty cool for us, because this basically gives us a heads up and say, hey, this name or that tail number is on this page. So what we normally do with this, if we have a list of people that are interesting for us, and we want to be notified if their name appear or when the email address appear or something like this, we literally just put it in this list, and we put all of the names in there. And then we browse the net without the side panel, just by normal, right? And when this shows up, when we see here this thing showing up, we know that there was something on the page that contained that name, and then that becomes really interesting for us. And it shows you that there were 4 of the red items and 2 of the blue items. You can see that 2 items is this here and this there, and that gets highlighted in blue. And so you have the blue and the red, and you can basically distinguish as you like between the 2 things. Again, it's not just on this page, it would be on any page. So I guess we could just Google for that, and you'll see that gets picked up on every page. Right? So this is just the Google search. Now obviously it's going to be on this page. But you can see that it says, there's the page, there's the tail number, and it's highlighted. And if we want to remove it, we can either disable the entire search section. So if we have a lot of names here, and like, well, this is getting a bit much, you can switch it off. And of course, now when you go back here, it wouldn't be on, right? But if you go, okay, well, we basically want to look at these things again, then you could just switch it on, and it would highlight it again. And so it's somewhere within this page. If I have to find it really quickly, I could see that it's there, and I didn't have to go through this entire page to look for it. And it's on every page that you go to. So that's a quick, easy to switch it on and off. And if you want to remove it altogether, you could just click on this item and it gets removed from this thing. Okay, something to consider is, how do you switch the tool off so that it's not recording pages anymore? And because maybe you want to use the browser for something else and you don't want it to record. Well, there's a couple of ways to do that. The first is you could switch it off over there. That's the big button over there. When you click on it, you see now it's gray. So if I am on a dodgy site, right, let's say I'm on here, you will see that this wasn't captured here at all, right? The other thing that you will see is that on here, right, when I look at this thing, that dot there is now black, which means it's actually not recording. When I switch it back on and I tab back, you'll see that now it's red. And so that means you can also switch off the recording from the widget on the page. So you just click on that over there, and it is now not recording anymore. So if we go to, I don't know, this page over here, then we go to this page, and you go back, you'll see that the only one that was recorded was the one where we switch recording on again, right? So just to make sure, let's go all the way back. Go to this site over there, and you'll see that this is not recorded because it's off. It's switched off over there, switched off over there. Another way we can do this, let's for instance switch, let's see how it works. We're going to switch recording on, back on, and we're going to browse the Open University a bit. Not that it's something we don't want, but I'm just going to capture like 3 pages from the Open University. All right, so let's see, now we should see them. Here we go. These are actually got 4 pages of the Open University, right? And let's, at this stage, we go, oh, okay, we were on our banking, or we were on email, or we were on a site that we just don't want to record. Now we need to go back. We gotta like switch this off, delete it from the history over there. That's not what we want. So there's a shortcut for that, which is this button on the widget, right? And basically what it says is there's two ways you can do this. You can either delete this page and never, you can either ignore this page so that this particular URL will not be recorded, and it will delete the data that is in there, or you can ignore the entire domain. So anything that's open.edu will be deleted. And most of the time, obviously, it's the one at the top that you want. So I'm going to switch it on, and it's going to do the following, this, right? And now if we go to the next, we go back to the interface, first of all, these should be gone. And if I go to the next page, it would actually not be recording this at all. And in fact, you don't even see the widget on the page anymore. Right? And if we go check what's in the, even if I browse around here, let's go to work skills. And if we go back to the interface, you'll see the last page that we got was scamadvisor.com, which is where, which we still recorded. What happens if we change our mind and we want to bring it back? Well, for that, you need to go to settings under your user settings. You go under general, and here you will see that there's a website ignore list. And we already got like mail.google in there, Drive, WhatsApp, few of the things that we use, Sheets, Docs.google. These are some that I added. And here you see open.edu is right there. If we want to take it out, we can remove it. And now if we reload this page, we should see the widget back. There it is back. And now it's recording this page again, right? We go back here and we go see what we have. Now we have these two pages, the one that we were on and the one that we navigated to. And that matches. So that's how we can switch it off for specific domains, even specific pages. But you find that you're going to do it by domain. So you put your internet banking in there, whatever it is that you don't want to record. Of course, we kind of see that the people that would really be using this would be using this on a VM. And so it'd be okay if it's in a different browser that you're always recording, because you're not going to do your personal work from that browser. Anyhow. Right, so with the AI prompts, when we have the AI prompts over there, you can actually change these prompts and manage these prompts yourself. So you can build your own prompts. Click here at the bottom on manage prompts. You'll get this interface, and this is actually where you can add more categories. Let's add a category that we say test. And in test, we add a prompt that we call one test. We create it. When we edit it, we change the prompt and we say, what is 1 + 1? Save that thing in. Let's make 2 test. And we edit the prompt that says, what is 2 + 2? Right. Right, so if we now click on this over there and we go to the bottom, you'll see there's a category called test. And it says 1 test and 2 test. If I put it in, ask me what is 1 + 1. And we could run this. And there you go, 1 + 1 = 2. Okay, so I just want to show some of the things in the interface that's maybe not so clear from the beginning. The first is this section between the nodes and whatever is on the left-hand side. You can size, and as you size it, you'll see that the amount of tiles that are shown basically size with it. It's going to depend on your screen resolution, of course, but you could see you could size it so you can quickly, see what you want to decide what should be more important. And there's also these buttons on the top. So if you quickly want to make it full screen, you can do that. Same with the report, of course, right? Then the other thing is when you select something, if you select a tile like this, you'll see that the side panel pops open. That's kind of straightforward. But you can pin that down as well. And so now you will always have it open. And so when you then size this, kind of assume that the side panel will always be there. Side panel, when it's open, can actually be sized as well. So you can't size it smaller than that or bigger than that. But if there's some things here that is that you want to see, you can size it like this. Then, of course, when you open this up like this, it doesn't go over there. So there's those kind of things. We have there's always a status bar at the bottom. Tells you what the last thing is that's happened. At the moment, nothing. Also gives you the build number, which normally is connected to the date that it was built. And you could see how many, in this case, you had 198 sites over there. You go to clippings, you got 46 clippings. And if you select things, let's say we select this one and we select, and it says one is selected. We then do shift and select this and select there. You'll see now there's 4 selected. It's actually useful to know how the selection stuff works as well. So shift select a range. Let's just make it a little bigger. So that's a range of them over there. And then if you want to select specific ones, you Alt on Windows and click on the ones that you want. So there I've got this one, this one, this one, but not that and not these selected. So that's how multi-select works. You might change it with like you be able to click on these things at the top left, but right now it's not like that. When you've selected multiple items, the side panel wouldn't give you like all of these things together, but it in fact then changes into a little menu that you can open in the URLs, or you can apply tags to all of them. To be honest, most of the time what I do is I just right click here. If I now say, copy these URLs, and I have a notepad or something like this that I pasted in. That's clearly how we do it with that. And then that actually raises another thing. If you're on a site like this, you want to copy all of the names out, all of these extracted entities. You could just click there, and you get the names. Copy to the clipboard. So this always copies whatever is there to the clipboard. We also have something called global search, which is at the top. At the moment, it's just searching within this project. But for instance, if I search for, I don't know, let's search for Tessa. Yeah, it will tell you it's found in the history, right? And it's found in clippings. So this searches in the history and clippings, and maybe in future we'll have it search across multiple projects. If you then see something that you're interested in, like let's say here, when you click on it, it will navigate to the project, either to the history or to the clippings, and will highlight that particular thing. So something else that is pretty interesting, if we go on filter and we say, show me everything that has a clipping. So it means that these are all the sites where we took a clipping on the site. And you'll see that the number here is an indication, or not an indication, it is how many clippings were done on that site, right? So clearly this was important for us, this interview, and we took 6 screenshots on this thing. I know that when I looked at the Wikipedia page, for me, also pretty interesting. So I guess we can search for a Wikipedia page, and we'll find this one here. Here you see, this is the one. So when I click on this, it will show you the clippings from there, and you'll see the number there. You can actually then scroll through it here and see all the clippings that you've done on this particular site. So you don't need to go to the clippings and go look for it. You can actually just view it over there. And I think what's nice about this, again, it would look at this particular clipping. You can click on it, of course, and then go to the clipping. If you then want to see the clipping itself, you'd go there, right? So this gives me the ability to scroll through these screenshots, basically one by one. For clippings, we also put in, so let's go to clippings. Let's pick up, I don't know, let's pick up this person over there, which is Isa. On any of the clippings that we have, doesn't matter what it is, you always have this button over there as well, which is to perform a really quick reverse image search using Google on that image. So you could see, oh, this is, they identifies that person pretty well with Google image reverse image search on that thing. It's just a nice thing to have really quickly there. In the same way, we realized that with the clippings, you have the AI description that's it over here. So you got the entire AI description, but there's a good chance that you might have had a lot of images already, a lot of clippings already captured before you got your AI API key. Now, what do you do now? Because now you want to actually run the descriptions across all of the images. So the way that you would do that, we know that it might be a problem because it really happened to us. You go to your user settings, you go to AI configuration, and here you'll see there's a button that says use AI to quickly generate descriptions of all your older clippings. So when you click on this, it will go through all of the clippings without any AI description, and we'll start filling those things in. Of course, it takes a little bit of time as they come in. You can also manually trigger that. So if you don't like the description that it gives you, for instance, I don't know, this is a pretty good description, so I don't want to really rerun this. Let's say this picture, we want to redo this. So this is how it was described initially. The image features a black and white photograph of a woman named Cleo Aristolides Dickmini. So let's run it again. It would now update this image, and you see at the bottom it says AI description send request to AI, and there you just saw it rewrite this description, right? So that's a way that you can actually manage what the AI descriptions on the images is like. And if you were wondering, this button does the same as this. Okay, so you'll see this is a project on Andrew. Andrew, no worries, he's a friend of mine. And what I want to show you here is the timeline. And we haven't looked at that before. So there's a button here that actually triggers this panel to open up at the bottom there, right? And you'll see a kind of a bar graph of things that are happening over there. As you move around, this the time is shown and the date is shown. And as you can imagine, this is when you browsed these things over here, right? So there's a couple of things that this does. Firstly, if I click on a visit, it makes a line over here that tells me, in terms of this entire investigation or this browsing session, this is the line, this is where this particular thing was. So I scroll down, I click on this one, you'll see that we now pass these things, and so we can click on it and see it. It basically disappears if you're not on it. So again, there's a pin button there. I would prefer to pin it down. And now when you click on stuff, you'll see where that was. So if I go back a little bit there. Okay, so okay, and what we can use it for is to select things as well. So for instance, if I want to see what happened here at the beginning, I can click and drag a box around it, and it will become a filter, and immediately you'll see that we are now looking only at things, this is updated, we're only looking at things that are in this range. I can filter again, and now we're just looking at the 13th of June from 11:32 till 12 whatever. And if I want to reset this, right, obviously I can press escape to clear the filter, but I can also just double click here. So if I double click, that's get reset. And what this is really nice for is basically going, what did you start off with? Okay, it was, these are the things that you started off with. Or what is this? This is like one visit that was like one or two visits that were, there's two of them that were done on this particular time, right? We click on it, we see it is on the 14th of June. You only looked at these two things. Or for instance, and this is what we mostly use it for, these things at the end, what's the last pages that I looked at? And it's this, right? Okay. So it becomes a filter, but it also becomes an indicator of when these things was taken. This gives me the ability to really quickly see where within time I was, like a temporal view of where I was when I did the investigation. One of the things I want to show is the project management. So you can see the last couple of projects that you were on always shows up here, right? You could search on here. If you were looking for demo or you look for test or the test project, you can quickly search there. But if you want to do like bulk actions on projects, you're going to go to this thing called manage projects. And this gives you all of the projects that you had. You can see I've had quite a few. You can sort it by when you last edited this thing. So you can see clearly we made changes there, but this is really old. You can sort it by how many visits there were. So this was a huge project. These ones were pretty big. And you can obviously sort it by the name, of course, as well. Right, so you can quickly see, you can quickly order it by that. And then for every project, there's a couple of actions that you can perform on the project. Right, so for instance, if I want to quickly see what a project is about, I can switch here. And specifically, we don't close this picture. We don't close this dialog. So I can see kind of in the background what this thing was about. That was a test. There's the demo one. I can switch to that. See, okay, this is kind of what it was about. And if I want to then be on this project, I just click off this dialog, and now I'm on this thing. Okay, so let's go there again. The next thing is to change the project. So if I want to rename it, so let's say this PKD thing, we want to rename it to maybe capital PKD, give it another picture, I don't know, red plain. I normally mark the red stuff with things that I know is kind of sensitive and that I can't show when I do demos. So let's make it just green. Okay, and I know that this is a green one and it's got this picture on, so that's fine. I know not to go on, well, there's a test one, so I can, let's take test and make it green. And now you'll see it's green. And that's the colors and the icons are just so that you can quickly tell it apart, right? I can also export these projects. So if I take, let's say I take a project like this demo project and I want to export this, it will then make an offline copy of this file, an offline copy of this thing. It will download the whole project. They do tend to get pretty big because we have, MHTML files with this. We have all the images, different sizes of this, so they can become pretty big. This one is 50 meg, so it's actually not that big. And then that sits on your machine. You can then obviously import this when you click on this. And so import, you give it a name. Let's call it AAAA, make it a cube. We give it 0 color and we pick the file. And now it will upload that and it will import it, and you will, have another copy of that demo project called AAAA. And there it is. And remember, this is what we had. So that's a perfect copy of this project, which we can now delete. So let me show you how delete works. That's delete, right? And if you want to bulk delete, let's say I want to delete this, and which one I can really delete here? You just got to trust me. You got to pick them, and then you click on delete and it will bulk delete them. But let's just delete it with this one there. Action cannot be undone, and it deletes that thing. And all right, the last thing to show here is sharing a project. So actually, you could share a project from here as well. You can click on share, and you put an email address in here. What will happen is it will actually make a copy of this project and it will put it on the users in the users database. But the user has to be a user on the server. So if you're not a user on this server, you'll actually just get a message that says, "Hey, someone shared a project with you on Ubikron. This is how you can get it." Let's just see what it looks like. Okay, so I'm going to take the test. The test project, and there's quite a few on here, 460, and I'm going to share that with my Vortimo account. Right. Okay, it's going to share 2 times 463, I think, images. It's quite a lot. Okay, and it said it will give you the, so let's go look what it looks like in the email. Okay, and this is what it looks like on the email that was sent to me. Right, a user, it doesn't say who, which is, I guess, good. Shared a project with you on the Ubikron system. You have to have the Chrome extension installed, and you can get it there. And you have to log in with the same email address as this one. Happy hunting, Ubikron team. Right, if we then now switch users, so I'm going to log out here. I'm going to now log in with my Vortimo account. Then you'll see that there's now a project, the test project that we had, right? That is here, and it's called share test with a date and a time. Which means if someone shares the project with you multiple times, it doesn't get overwritten, you get multiple copies of that. One more thing we didn't show before and that's super useful on long notes, is that here is a table of index. So, this is markup. So you can have, you can just have subheadings like normal in markup, right? But these subheadings are then indexed, and then you'll see that we can very quickly navigate the notes by just clicking on something over here. So if you want to go to woman in his life, it would then be right. It would jump to this section really quickly. If you want to be to the trust estate, there it navigates to the trust estate. So that gives us a really quick way. There's subheading that we just put in. Subheading. It gives me a really quick way to navigate these notes that we make over there. And one of the automations we can enable, if I go to the project, I go to settings, go to automations, is saving clippings directly to the report. Let me switch that on. And what will happen now is if I'm on a page, let's say I'm on test cricket page, and I make a clipping, control tilde, and I put this in here and clip this thing, and I write something about it, and I tag it. Well, let's just favorite it. Doesn't matter, right? And I save this thing, and I take another section, let's say this part over there, and I have that as well. Then when I go back to the interface, you'll see that these things are now within the report automatically. And so this particular automation basically says, when you're taking a clipping, put it into the report as you make them. As soon as you make them, put it in the report. You don't need to drag it in all the time. And the same thing goes for tagged pages, right? So when I tag something, a page, and the page itself, because remember you could put a page, let's put this page, you could put the page in there as well. Can we put it in? There we go. There's that page that was put in here as well. So now if I'm on, let's say, England, or I'll go to this thing over there, and so if I tag this thing, let's say favorite, I'm then on Australia, and I tag this as demo 1. And if I then go back to the interface, you'll see that both of these pages are now sitting there at the bottom. There they are, this one and this one. So that gives me the ability to, without having to put the pages and the clippings into the notes by hand, I can just do it as I'm making these clippings or pages. Okay, so I want to show you how you can create your own extractions and enrichments within the side panel, the sidebar. So for instance here, when we open this up, we have domain name, phone number, etc. But let's say we wanted to extract something else, like here we have this ISBN number, and it seems like this number follows a certain format. That's basically how books are defined, right? And we want to build something that's going to extract these numbers for us, and also something that's going to enrich it. So when you go to your user settings, you'll see there's a thing called entity extractions and entity enrichment. So in entity extractions, as a start, you'll see these system types that are types that we defined: name, GPS, alias. All of these things are things that we extract from text. So as a start, if let's say you don't like us to extract the name, if you switch this off to red and you were to reload this page, you'll see that there's no name extracted on this page anymore, because here you've configured that you don't want to see name. If I put it back on, I go back here, I reload the page, you'll see that we have names. In some cases, this regex doesn't work that well. I'm pretty sure that these phone numbers are wrong. You see these phone numbers get picked up as these ISBN numbers. So if it bothers you, you could just switch it off. You can say don't do phone numbers anymore. And then if you do this page, you'll see that they disappear. Okay, that's not what I want to show you. What I want to show you is that you can actually add your own here. So I'm going to say add new user type. And as soon as you do this, it says what's the type and what's the regex. Now, we're not that great with regex. So we have this thing called a regex tester. Right, so I'm just going to clear this quickly. Right, so this is a piece of text that we're going to put in there. That was the previous one. Let's take this piece of text. That's at least what we want to use as input. We're going to put that in there, right? And I'm hoping to parse this number out here. So the way that I normally did is I literally just go to ChatGPT. I say, give me a regex for parsing ISBN numbers. All right. And you get this, which is, crazy. So I'm not going to pretend that I can read this. But I'm going to put it in here. Delete everything that's there. Put it in there. And then I can click on test. And when I click on test, it matches this. And it doesn't match the number there and so on. So this looks good, right? I'm going to copy that to the clipboard. Then I'm going to say add new user type. I'm going to say ISBN. I'm going to put this number in from the clipboard. I'm going to click on save. So now you got this thing. You can see, you can edit it again. You can delete it. It's enabled. All right, let's see if it works. So when I go back to this page and I reload this page, I now have 24 ISBN numbers in there. And not all of them look to be right. When I click on this, it will highlight it. So there you can see this is wrong. So I need something that's a little stricter. So let's see how I'm going to do this. I'm actually going to tell ChatGPT, I'm going to give it this part over there. I'm going to say, this regex also matches, put it in, save, reload this page. And here we go. Now we got all the ISBN numbers and not anything else. Okay, let's test it on another page just to make sure. Let's pick something that's going to have Kingdom of Portugal. I'm sure there's books about it. And there you can see you have those as well, right? Okay, so let's next see if we can enrich this. So what we're looking for is we're looking for lookup, something like ISBN lookup and ISBN search. Seems like it's good. Okay, so if we put in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in here, we'll see that it calls it like this, and there's the number. So that's great. So that's number here we got to replace with the number that we found. And now we want to go to entity enrichment. And you'll see there's already a couple of them in there, and they work on certain types, right? So you could switch them on and off, and you can change them if you want to. But let's add our own action. So we're going to add a new action. We're going to call it ISBN lookup. We're going to say that it works on an ISBN number, which is at the bottom because it's new. And then we're going to put this in, and there where we see this value, we're going to replace it with a thing called curly brackets value. And that actually will contain the value that it gets from the interface, right? So we're going to click on save. It should be here at the bottom. Now, when we reload this page and we go over this thing, we'll get an action that says ISBN lookup, right? You see? And when we look it up, let's see, hang on. When we look it up, society and educational results. So it means that we don't need the thing that says. Okay, and if we look at it a little bit, we'll see that it's actually two different ones. If you put it in like this, the first one, right, then you test it, you get that number, which is what we want, and copy that out. We're gonna edit this page, we're gonna put that back in, save. We're going to reload here. Now we just get the numbers, you see. Now when we actually do the lookup, we get the right one. Okay, so let's just see if it works well with other pages. So you always got to test it, and make sure that it works and not just this page. Here's one book that it got from here. Click on it, you can see where it is. And we're going to look that up. It should be something about a revolution. And there we go. There we get the right page. And so this way, it is a little bit of hemming and hawing. I mean, you have to kind of like massage it a little bit, but you will see that you actually do get it. Eventually, if you can write the regex for it, you can extract it. Now, what's cool about this is if we go to the history and we go to New Zealand, you'll see that it's now busy basically doing the extraction, entity extraction on this page. That's happening on the server side of things, right? But what is super cool is that the entities that we extracted client side, e.g. in the browser, this is done in the browser, right, is also sent to the server. So not only do you have your normal entities that are extracted from here, but you also have the ISBN numbers that are extracted from this page, right? So there's the 28 ISBN numbers that were extracted from the client side. But it means that you can actually do entity extraction on the client with your own regex. And of course, we don't want to run just everyone's broken regex on our server, and that's why we're doing the processing client side, and then sending that information with the page up, so that you have it on this side as well.